Guys, I really do not know what to make of that. I'm having to keep my voice down because there's people asleep nearby me, but honestly, that is without a doubt the most mixed emotions I have had in a game for a long, long time. Now, this was a game that wasn't must win, but it was certainly a game that Sunderland could have done with taking all 3 points out of. We can take, on the one hand, we can take encouragement and heart from the fact we didn't lose the game, especially from the position of being 2-1 down with minutes to go. But I still can't help but feel that in the first half, and especially probably the first 10-15 minutes of the second, we looked in relative control of the game. Try that again. We looked in relative control of the game, and the fact that we just tossed it away. Fair enough, I've just seen the goals back, because I was at the opposite end of the ground, where in the second half, when Connor Wickham scored 2 goals. I have to admit, second half, Wickham made himself a presence. He bullied off of our defenders. He did all right. He actually did what we expected him to do at Sunderland, but he just never materialised again. The first one, great strike, goes in off the post. It was a bit similar to Jordan Ayew's goal at Newcastle. Did quite well, actually, to be fair. I'll give him that in that front. And although the finish for his second one was very good, we should never have allowed him the space in the first place. I've just literally seen it back. And Damon Doy, you've got to take responsibility for that, mate. You were the player that was closest to Wickham in marking that set piece, and you let him drift away from you. This is something, now, I know defending isn't as straightforward and easy as I make out it to be. I can accept that. What I don't accept, though, is when players do not mark their men properly. They don't look around to see what's near them, and they just ball watch, and is completely oblivious to the fact that someone they're supposed to be marking and getting to is running away from them, and look what happened. He's just scored a goal. Part of me still ranting and raving about this, because we keep spurning opportunities to go further clear of the relegation zone. The only thing that's going to make me feel even remotely good about this point is if Newcastle lose tomorrow night at Stoke, and if Swansea ideally could lose at Arsenal as well. But the way the season's going, I wouldn't be surprised. Swansea have only lost once at the Emirates since getting promoted in 2011, and Newcastle, they are not going to go the remainder of the season without picking up another away point. It's a fact. They're not going now. So I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle got something tomorrow night, given the way the season's gone. The worst case scenario, I suppose, is that if Newcastle do win, please do not happen, please. The worst case scenario is that if Newcastle do win, we'd only be 2 points adrift of safety. And given where we were at, say, the end of December, it's still reachable. We can still do it. However, one thing that I am bricking myself over is the fact that the derby, 2.5 weeks away now, is looking increasingly more massive. It's looking increasingly bigger the closer we get to it, because that looks like the game that could decide what happens between Newcastle and Sunderland. Who knows? We might lose to Newcastle and still stay up. I don't know, but I'll take positives from the fact that we got a point out of the game at the very end, and at least for 24 hours, that does take us out of the bottom 3. Please, can the teams that are currently in the bottom 3 get relegated at the end of the season? Please. I'm so superstitious, but I'm really past caring at this point. So it's pathetic. I'm still not happy with the point, though, in some respects, because we were 1-0 up, and within the first 60 minutes, Palace were half threatening, but they weren't really creating anything massive. So I still wasn't impressed, and especially the way after we conceded the first goal, you think, okay, that's another thing. 14 games without a clean sheet. Now, I know, again, keeping clean sheets is quite difficult in the Premier League, because you're going to get a lot of good physical, technical, and ability-wise players. You're going to get that. However, it's not mission impossible. How is Sunderland constantly failing to do this every single game? 2 against Swansea. We conceded against Villa, albeit it's a great goal, but we still conceded. Conceded against Bournemouth. This is happening time and time again. The more this happens, the harder it is that we're going to stay up. The harder it is to stay in the Premier League. We can't afford to keep doing this. We spurned chances at West Ham to get what I thought was a deserved point. We probably just barely deserved a point out of the Palace game. Because first half, I thought we probably just about deserved the lead. But second, and the first 15 minutes of the second, we actually looked okay. And then we just tossed it away. This is why I'm pessimistic with Sunderland. Anyone who ask me, why are you so pessimistic? Why are you Mr. Depressing when it comes to Sunderland A.F.C? The way that we were 1-0 up to 2-1 down within 10 minutes. Within about 60th minute to the 70th minute, we went from 1-0 up to losing 2-1. That's why. And again, Palace have got some decent players in their team. You know, you've got Balassi, Zaha, Cabaye, Punchin, many others. Sacco even I quite like. But let's face it, they haven't really got anybody who's, an overt goal scorer in their team. And although Wickham's now got 4 and 2, fair enough, that's actually quite decent from his point of view, but at the same time, Palace hadn't won in something like 11 games or 10, 11 games. Correct me in the comments below either way. He hadn't won in 10 or 11 fixtures, and the fact that we were winning against them, dragging them potentially into the relegation scrap, and then we just tossed it away. Away, man. I suppose I've got to take the positives. We got a point from a losing position, and with 5 minutes to go, I would have took 2-2. So at least we got something out of the game, but I still can't help but feel it was an opportunity missed to further extend the gap. Hopefully Newcastle and Swansea lose, and hopefully when Newcastle play Man City, hopefully Man City get 3 points there. Palace, if you want to redeem yourselves, go and beat the Mags at St James's, please. Guys, I'll leave it there. I'm too drained right now to say any more, but hope you at least enjoyed the fact that we didn't get beat. And one last thing, I think Fabio Borini as well, getting that goal. Personally, I don't think he meant it, but I don't really care either way right now. Him getting the goal now has to be something for him. He has to do him the world of good. And now, hopefully, we can get something against Southampton. But you've got Swansea and Norwich and Newcastle Bournemouth, 2 big 6-pointers. So, let's see what happens there. But, see you later.